Welcome to Geekazine's virtual conference coverage 2020. We're here once again. We've got Bob Cornelia from Blackmagic Design. How you doing, Bob?
I'm doing well, or as well as can be expected. I'm stuck in my basement with a green screen, but hey.
Oh, that's a green screen behind you?
Yeah, actually, I took a picture of my family room bookshelves and put that behind me because I'm down in the basement with lights and whatnot, and the basement doesn't look so good.
Yeah. Well, you look like there's a bookshelf behind you. You must have some really high-end equipment to do all this with.
Well, high-end in quality, not high-end in price. I'm using it.
Yeah. So you're with Blackmagic Design, and of course, we've talked to you at NAB and several other events as well about all the products. And you got two great products that we're going to talk about today. The first one being the ATEM Mini, correct?
Yeah, so ATEM Mini was the original one that we launched at the end, or started shipping at the end of 2019. And then a couple weeks ago, we launched the ATEM Mini Pro. So the original version for HDMI inputs and an HDMI out, and it has picture-in-picture. And the whole reason we came out with the product was basically to give people an HDMI switcher for people who didn't even know what a switcher was. I mean, they knew they wanted to put more than one image up at the same time, but they didn't really have all the details. And all the HDMI inputs will take whatever frame rate it's fed. So if you have a computer hooked up or a gaming console and a camera, it'll all do that frame rate conversion for you. So you don't have to worry about that because, let's face it, a lot of people don't know what any of those things are if they're only trying to, show themselves playing games on Twitch or something. Yeah. So, of course, we had a lot of requests for different features like a multi-view. And as I said originally, I said, well, if you know what a multi-view is, you probably need a different switcher. But that said, the timing of all this, as people are doing so many more things at home, we were able to push through the next model, which is the ATEM Mini Pro. And the Pro adds a couple of cool features. One is it's got a built-in encoder. So this way, the encoder is a hardware encoder inside the box that does the encoding to get you to Facebook or Skype or YouTube or Twitch or whatever you want to. You can set it up so it'll stream directly there and just borrow the Ethernet, the bandwidth it needs from your computer. But your computer's not doing the encoding, which is great because then the computer isn't screaming trying to keep up with the streaming service. The streaming service is getting the feed basically from the ATEM Mini Pro, so you're not getting drop frames and you're getting, much better resolution and quality than you would from trying to use the computer. So we also added the ability to record the stream at the same time. So the Ethernet port on the back of the unit will hook into the computer to do the control and to do the streaming, and then the USB-C port is there so you can actually hook up, like one of the USB-C drives and record the stream. So what you're doing then is you're recording the stream at the same resolution and bitrate as the stream itself. Yeah. So this is really cool. But we also added some features that go in the ATEM Mini and the Mini Pro to hook up with our cameras so that the cameras now, the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K and Pocket Cinema Camera 6K, are now acting as studio cameras with the ATEM Mini and Mini Pro. So what you get there is you hook them up with HDMI, and with the ATEM software, that's the same software no matter if it's an ATEM Mini all the way up to our Constellation 8K. It's the same software, but you're able to do the color correction like you do on our studio cameras and our Ursa Mini Pros and Ursa Broadcasts and those higher-end cameras that we normally do with SDI return back and forth. Well, this is just HDMI in, and the HDMI communication goes back to the camera. Same software, though, with the DaVinci Resolve type color correction that you can do in the ATEM software. So now we can control zoom and focus if you have the right lens, and it's really good for me because now I can use the software to control the camera instead of having to get up and down and around because I'm one-man shop as most people are right now.
And you're using it right now, correct?
This is correct. So I have a Pocket Cinema Camera 4K shooting me with a green screen, couple lights, and then we're keying in a still that's in the still store that you get with the Mini and the Mini Pro, where you can load up to 20 different stills, whether it's lower third or backgrounds like this. So That's all in there. And then I save the settings. So every morning when I fire it up, I just recall and boom, I'm set.
There you go. And you had the Mini or the Mini Pro running?
So I had the Mini until the Mini Pro was launched. And then I had to send my Mini to somebody else and they sent me a Mini Pro. And so now I have a Mini Pro.
And you got the box right there, right?
Oh, yeah, actually. So, yeah, the Mini Pro is hard working, but I have the box here. And we're trying to make them as fast and ship them out as fast as possible. And, like I said, both products are very popular right now. And we also wanted to help people out by lowering the price of the Pocket Cinema Camera 6K. So It was originally $24.95, and we lowered it by $500. So now it's just under $2,000 at $1,995. So this will make a great studio camera as well as a great cinema camera.
Really quick, so if I'm just doing YouTube videos, is there a good reason to have a 6K camera?
Well, the 6K camera and the 4K camera, the two different real big differences, obviously the sensors are different, but it's really about lens compatibility. So if you have some EF lenses, you can use the 6K, and you don't have to shoot 6K. Certainly when you're using it with an ATEM Mini, you're just getting the HDMI out of the camera, which is going to come in at 1080p anyway. Yeah. And the thing about shooting larger than the format that you're finishing for is really good for framing and things like that. So if there's a boom mic in the way and you zoom in, you're not going to see any loss of signal or any type of artifacting from a zoom. The other thing is that we have Blackmagic RAW in both of these cameras, and that really helps make the files smaller, but gives you the flexibility of shooting RAW, but also having a LUT built in so that it's real easy to edit with and share the media because the files are smaller, and then you can relink once you get the color correction and you're not having to do reconforms and things like that. So, I look at it when people ask which one do you buy, the 4K or the 6K, I always say, what kind of lenses do you have? If you have MFT lenses, then the 4K is probably a better fit. And if you have EF lenses, then the 6K is a better fit.
Okay. Yeah. I have EF lenses myself, so that would definitely be something for me. So,
yeah.
What I do like about this ATEM Mini Pro though is just that fact that you can plug in different types of cameras, and I have the television studio. The 4K studio, and that was always one frustration is because I run Sony cameras, and I do have a PTZ optics camera. And they all don't run at the same resolution frame rate. And so I'd always have to get some sort of converter box to plug it in. But with the newer television studio and the ATEM Mini, of course, that game changed a little bit. And I was really happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, we were glad to be able to kind of put those tools inside the box because sure, you can buy a lot of converters, and we sell converters clearly. Yeah. But to be able to share some of that Teranex conversion technology and put it inside the box. But in the ATEM Mini and the ATEM Mini Pro, you're at a level of some people who look. There's a lot of people that will buy them that know a lot about our switchers, and it's easy for them to get used to the software because it's the same software, so it's easy for them to come down. But what this helps is get people in and getting going without a lot of tech support calls because they don't have the right frame rate, things like that. As a matter of fact, there's one video online that somebody put up to show you how to change your PlayStation output so it'll work with the ATEM Mini and ATEM Mini Pro. There's a way to change it from RGB to YUV and to get the DCHP off so that you can actually show your gaming console. And it's funny because I just Googled the video and there it was, and move in 4.5 minutes, and the guy tells you what the settings are. So it's really helpful. It
brings in the console game. Is it that's what it does?
Yeah. So you can take the output of the game that you're playing out of the console into the ATEM Mini, and then you could put a picture-in-picture of you up playing while you show the output of the game. How
many picture-in-pictures could you do?
You can do one picture in picture, one picture in picture. So one box over, and there's some presets on the actual panel. So you can just turn it on and move it around there. But if you use the software and you use macros, you can actually do all kinds of different changes and swaps.
Oh yeah, I have I'm doing all my switching through a Stream Deck, and with the companion software, I can
Hmm.
set it up so it can do different things. The one thing that that my ATEM doesn't do is the being able to put all the cameras into on the screen. So you can't have if you do 4 or 8 cameras, you can't have all 8 cameras up
Yeah,
there.
you need a Constellation 8K for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And that's the small thing. And you're not expecting, this is what, a $300 box. Those
300
prices.
for the mini and 600 for the Pro. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you need something that does more than that, like multi-view or anything like that, then you start at the $1,600 level like I did, and you get those things.
Yeah, that's true. We did put in a multi-view in the new one for $595, which is great. And you can actually switch. So there's one HDMI output. So it could either be the multi-view out, because you don't need the program out if you're streaming.
Yeah.
That goes straight out. Or you can punch up any of the 4 inputs, or the program output, or the multi-view output. So that way you can change it on the fly if you need to. So I usually use the multi-view output, and then I will switch it to one of the, like to camera, just to check focus or something like that, and then go back. But it's really nice to have it right on the panel so you don't have to go into the software.
Can you configure the multi-view in this?
So you can configure in sense of you can move, you can put the top and bottom for program preview. It has the 4 inputs. It has the still store. And then it has 3 other windows that are kind of unique. There's a good picture on the website that'll show you that. It shows you that you have the recording window, the streaming window, and then an audio window. And the audio window is basically just the levels of all of the inputs, including the 2 external mic inputs that are there, and the program audio output. So you can look at that from a glance and see to make sure that all the audio is there. You can also turn the audio on and off on each of the inputs on the multi-view. So there's quite a few choices on what you can do there, but it is nice. And I think that new audio window is kind of clever. And of course, the other 2 windows for showing whether you're recording or not and how much time you have left, and the streaming and whatnot. Those are great things, especially as people are trying to do a lot of these things on their own. They need something that they can quickly take a glance at and know that everything's going all right.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, I've been doing this for a very long time, but I know there's some people out there saying, how do I get into this? And so I tell them a little bit, and they got the understanding that they're either they've either done video before, or they're in the audio space, and they can understand things as long as one piece works for them. Usually that's the audio, and so you guys have a pretty good audio system inside these ATEM Mini Pros, right?
Absolutely. They have the Fairlight audio menus in there with EQ. And I mean, it's just really crazy to see the kind of extra stuff that you can do in there. So what we always like to do, like the ATEM color correction, can be done simply, or it can be done, much more extravagantly if you have a high-end colorist. And it's the same with the audio. You can just raise levels up and down if that's the aptitude that you have, or you can get into some serious EQ if you need to.
Yeah. So if you're doing like maybe a band or so, how many channels can you bring in for that?
So you get 2 channels per input, plus another 2 for the mic, 2 other mic inputs. So
if you did 4 cameras, that would be
it's 8, 9, 10
inputs. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you could actually hook up a band and have a lot of separate channels that you could be doing some mixing with. So
yeah, I mean, you can, and then thing with the software is that you can actually run multiple instances of the software. So one person could be loading graphics, one person could be switching, one person could be doing the audio, and then another person could be shading the cameras.
Okay. And of course, it's all controlled through the software, as you said. The software that everybody that's ever used a Blackmagic device is very familiar with. Is it just Mac and PC, or do you have iOS and Android now?
So it's Mac and PC for that. Although I know a lot of people use some simulators and whatnot on the iOS and also on Android. There's a lot of different ways that people build their own apps for those things. And,
Yeah.
and because we put out the SDK, that enables people to do that. Same with the Stream Deck. People are able to run Companion and do all those kind of things because it just broadens their flexibility. I mean, I also use a Stream Deck when I'm doing the one-on-ones because it's easier for me to reach down and hit buttons.
Absolutely. And what I like about the buttons is I can customize them, put pictures on them, and go from there. Not to say that any of the other systems like X Keys or anything like that isn't as good, but
right. It's all very
use them all, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's our SDK that we enable everybody to be able to do that because we didn't want it to be a closed system. We want people to be able to build, because no matter what panel you build, no matter what, there's always somebody that says, oh, that's great, except the configuration of our room doesn't allow for that or something. Yeah. And, so this way it gives people a lot more flexibility.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we've gone through a lot there. Anything that we might have missed?
So, yeah, we covered the camera update and the lower price of the camera. There was one more thing that we launched, which was the HyperDeck Studio Mini. We upgraded the H.264 codec in there to be able to record AAC audio. So this way, those files can be directly uploaded to YouTube. So it makes it a lot easier to record something like this and then just pop it up online. And
the HyperDeck you can also use with the ATEM Mini.
Correct. I've used it as a playback device to play back like a lower third animation that I did in Resolve and then dumped it over to disk. And we also uploaded or increased the speed of the upload speed. So it's 110 megabits per second to FTP files back and forth, because a lot of people use the HyperDeck Studio Minis to play back videos in monitors or something like that on set. And instead of having to sneaker net back and forth they could actually upload. And because the upload time is so much faster now than it was, by going up to 110 megabits per second, people are really happy about that. And then, of course, we also increased the record length of a file up to just over 3 hours.
To 3 hours. Wow. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. So, all right. Well, let's go through the prices really quick. Of course, we'll start with the Mini. Yep.
So the ATEM Mini is $295. The ATEM Mini Pro is $595. The Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K with the MFT mount is $1,295, and that includes a advanced copy. The Resolve Studio, full version of DaVinci Resolve Studio, and then the Pocket Cinema Camera 6K is now $1,995 with the price reduction. It also includes a full copy of DaVinci Resolve Studio. And the HyperDeck Studio Mini, $695. And all the updates are always available on our website. And if you follow us at blackmagic_news.com, you will get tweets about all of our software upgrades, because we do it so often that that's what I do to follow it, to make sure I know I have the latest software.
Yeah, that's nice to always have. Even with the older stuff that like I have, there's always a good update to make sure that I'm running the most constant version.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have been adding features as we can throughout the course of all the products as much as we can.
All right, perfect. Well, Bob, thank you very much for your time. Where do people go for more information?
Thanks. Yeah, well, they can always find us at blackmagicdesign.com.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Bob, for your time. And you stay safe and read those books that are behind you.
Thanks. I'll give it a try.
Okay. That's another company from the Virtual Conference Coverage 2020 at Geekazine. Since I can't go to the conferences, I'm going to have the vendors come to me. If you're a vendor, if you've got a product that you want to show off, if you've got a service that you want to talk about, let me know. Tweet me over at Geekazine, Think Magazine, Put Into Geek, and let's get on air and talk about it for Geekazine. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and hit that bell notification to let you know when the next video comes out. For the Virtual Conference Coverage 2020, Jeffrey Powers here. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, you guys, geek out.